You're listening to The Dating Den with dating and relationship badass and best-selling author Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important dating, sex, and relationship issues you want to know about. So if you're ready for true talk that's authentic and unfiltered, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Dating Den, episode 97, Coaching with Nicole. Our connection is insane. Should I wait for him to get his act together, or should I let it go for good? Ladies, welcome into the Dating Den. And it's super denish today because I live in California and it looks like freaking Michigan outside. It's raining and it's gray. And it is, if you are heartbroken, today would be a day where you just were under the covers with like multiple boxes of Kleenex. However, our guest today has gotten past that point, I think. Her name is Nicole. She got in touch with us and she said that she is lovesick. And she met a man about 3 months ago and butterflies, rainbows, puppies for 5 weeks. And then the shit got real. So she is here today for me to help her figure out whether she should wait for him to get his shit together or whether she should get her own shit together and move on. So, Nicole, welcome to the Dating Den.
Hello.
I'm super happy that you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So here's the thing. I'm just going to give the highlights and then you can add in any salient points. But,
okay.
When I saw your email, I was like, I think our top downloaded episodes are what I call the unrequited love category, right? There's this guy. I know he's not right for me, but we have this insane chemistry. Our souls are one, but it's not working out. And so for you, I know you had these incredible 5 weeks. You were together with this guy. And I also know, because you really were so thorough in letting us know your history, that, you've had these other relationships. You were married and then your husband sort of bailed and then he came back and then he bailed again. And so you have a history of sort of being strung along emotionally. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so when you look at all of what that has cost you, over the last, how many years?
Since my divorce?
Yeah.
5 years.
5 years. And how long were you with your ex-husband?
We were together 7 and married 5.
Okay. So it's been like 12 or 13 years of this kind of crap. And you're 34, right?
I will be 34 next year.
You'll be 34. Okay. Mm-hmm. So for being 34, you've spent most of your adult life with this sort of notion of rejection and abandonment and putting your trust in men and then having kind of the floor fall out from you. So if you sort of look at like what the impact has been to your self-worth, your self-image, your confidence, what's your current state of being?
Well, after my divorce, it completely broke and shattered me. Up until this date, that was my rock bottom. And so I really took the time to dive into personal growth and development and spirituality to really find who Nicole was, because like you said, I was with the same man for majority of my 20s. And at that point, most of my adulthood. And I had not known who Nicole was for so long without a man in my life. And so I needed to really find who I was. And so I did that. And then I met someone else and we formed a very quick connection. We dated long distance, eventually moved to be with him. And within a week of me moving, taking a new job, moving, 5 hours away from where I was, I realized, this is not the one. But I wanted to make it work. I wanted to give it an honest chance. And so I stuck with it and things just continued to unravel. There was a lot of trust issues there as well. And so I made the decision weeks before an engagement was coming that I knew, out of respect for him, knowing that he was not going to be my person, did not want him to go through that process of asking me to marry him. So I ended the relationship very abruptly. but I was okay doing that because I knew that was what was best for me in my future. So after that, I really dived back, into my personal development and really found Nicole more than I have ever known her being, and gained my self-love and my confidence back and started my own business, I'm excelling in my career. And just really, up until this has happened, I was just really proud of the woman that I have become and the woman that I'm going to continue to become. And I did not need to be in a relationship. I was perfectly fine being single, loving being single, actually. And then I met this person, and he just kind of turned my world upside down.
So that's interesting. So, and the question that, we talked before the show, like there's a million questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sort of the way you left it was like, you go do you, boo, right? Because he's got to get through his divorce. And right. You're trying to decide now, like, do you hold hope for the future?
Correct.
So one of the most important things that I really talk about and teach are core values, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you look at the core values that you're looking for, let's just say even the top 3 or 4, but I usually go for 5. But if you look at like the core values that you are looking for in a partner, what would they be?
Integrity, compassion, honesty, sense of humor, someone that can banter with me, someone I can be myself around, and empathy for others.
Okay. So that's 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. And so this guy for 11 weeks, right? That's where we're at, 11 weeks?
Right.
Okay. So here's the way to really look at the, should I stay or should I go emotionally sort of thing is to really get clear on, does this person have these core values? Now, you said in your email that there was some behaviors that he started to do after the 5 weeks that brought up your trust issues.
Correct.
So what was going on to where you felt like, shit, what's going on when he's not with me?
Right. There was an incident where he told me he was going to be somewhere that he was not. And I wasn't digging to find, just happened to be coincidence, if you believe in coincidence, and realized I actually saw him physically where he was not supposed to be. And so that just brought up a lot of fear, anxiety, questions, and, confusion, because up until that point, I have told him, you can be completely honest with me. You do not have to lie to me. If you don't want to be here at a certain time, you don't have to be here at a certain time. Just communicate that with me. So there was starting to become a lack of communication, whereas my expectation was already set because I had already vocalized that to him. So I didn't really understand why he did, because it wasn't like it wasn't as bad as it sounds. It was not like he was at someone else's house or anything like that. He was just not where he told me he was going to be.
Okay. And then did it happen any other times?
No, that has not happened any other time. There has been times where he was supposed to be at my house at a certain time for dinner. He didn't show up for 2 hours later. There's been times where he didn't show up at all, didn't communicate that he wasn't coming over. There was a week where there was no communication whatsoever. And so it's just, he's not meeting my expectations, as far as where I have vocalized, I can play it cool with you. We can, start developing what we're developing and be casual at the same time. However, my standard is, just be honest with me.
Right. Okay. And you said that he is separated going through a divorce. So does he live with his ex-wife or
no,
no,
they
separate?
Right.
Okay. And how long ago did he file for divorce?
I know that they had separated a year ago, and he went back. The timeline exactly of how long they have completely been separated still confusing and fuzzy to me. But I know up until the point where we met, they had not been living together for about 6 weeks.
Okay, so they're only physically separated for 6 weeks.
Correct.
Okay. So here's what I want to point out to you in the spirit of kind of getting to the should I stay or should I go?
Right.
Your key values of integrity and honesty, those two right there, he is not meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when he is showing up late, blowing you off, lying, how does that make you feel? What gets triggered for you?
That he'd rather be somewhere else, obviously. Rejection, that he's not valuing me.
Okay. And when that comes up, does it remind you or re-trigger any traumas from your marriage?
Yes. Not necessarily my marriage, but the months following my divorce.
Okay. Okay. And is there any other time in your life when you were younger, childhood or early teens or anything, where you had any significant relationships where someone like wasn't always there for you or let you down?
Not necessarily within my family. My pattern of relationships have kind of stayed consistent so my very first relationship was very similar to what I'm experiencing now, which was when I was 18, my very first significant one.
Okay. And were your parents married when you were growing up?
They were married. They divorced when I was a senior in high school.
Oh, okay. And that's kind of the same time where you had that relationship.
Yes.
Interesting. So, and when your parents got a divorce, did your mom leave? Did your dad leave? Like, do you know who instigated all of that?
My dad left my mom.
And at that point, like, did you ever have any of those thoughts when you're growing up? Like, why is this happening to me? Was it something I did? Or were you aligned with your mom? Where was your alliance in that?
No, my alliance went back and forth between my mom and my dad. They didn't ever really hide anything that was going on to me. They felt that I was mature enough to understand, which I feel like I was. What instigated my parents' divorce was dishonesty and infidelity. And I don't feel comfortable saying which side.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't. It doesn't matter.
But it came down to where my dad made the choice that it was best that they no longer be married. But they also, about a year after, their divorce was very abrupt, happened within 30 days. They didn't argue about it. They didn't go back and forth. But then they tried to reconcile for about a year after, until finally they both decided that it was best for them to not, be together any longer.
Okay. So, girlfriend, that story is ripe with intelligence around why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because obviously, there's an experience for you of that being modeled and how it impacts you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so again, I'm all directing this in the funnel of should I stay or should I go? There's a reason why you're attracting this guy and possibly others in your life who are emotionally unavailable.
Right.
Right. It's kind of like you are collecting evidence in your relationships that it's not safe, that you're going to get left, that someone's going to get left, that mom's going to get left, that dad's going to get left. Right.
Right.
And so it's familiar.
Exactly. Okay. I'm always waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under me.
Right. And interestingly, also, your parents had this reconciliation. So I'm guessing there's that going on too about and this is an interesting thing that people sometimes don't think about, but whatever kind of childhood you had, there's a way that love is experienced and modeled in our childhood homes, right?
Mhm.
So for some people, love is like being a martyr, right? Like, like, oh, I do anything for you. And that's what love is, when you just have no boundaries and you overfunction for people. And some families love it, has to be earned, right? Like you have to be a good girl to get my
Right.
love, right? And
Mhm.
so if you look at, and I have no judgment because there's like 11 or 12 options of how people experience love. Like, so when you were growing up, how was love communicated or expressed when you were growing up?
With my mom, she was the caregiver. She didn't really, ever work a career when my sister and I were growing up. So the way she expressed love was by doing, making our beds. And,
Mhm.
we would come home from school and there would be little, trinkets that she had bought laying on our bed, um, cooking us meals, cleaning the house. That was for the majority of my childhood up until I was in high school. Um, my dad showed love. My dad worked out of town during the week, so he was only home on the weekends, and he had to do the husband duties on the weekends. The household, like the man
Yeah.
stuff on the weekends. Really, the way my dad shows love was providing financially,
Mm.
and then also being the stern father figure, the lesson giver, I should say.
Interesting. Okay. So then when you experienced love with your dad, it was like if you followed the lesson, if you appreciated what he was giving you, if you were there when he was available.
Correct.
Okay.
I never wanted to disappoint my father, and I
To-
still feel that way today.
totally. So I sort of had the same situation when I was growing up, which is interesting. Well, not really, because if I could take my relationship after my divorce, it would literally be what you wrote. My diary and your diary look the same. So here's the thing. So with this guy, my guess is like you're being totally like understanding and empathetic about his situation and really putting everything on the line for him. Very nurturing, very caregiving. Yeah.
Of course, exactly.
Of
You couldn't have
course.
said
Okay.
it better.
And your dad was like around when he was available, but he was doing what he had to do. So your experience of love is sort of like, I give you the best I can when I can.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. My dad had no other option to be only around on the weekends and on family vacations because of his job.
Totally. And that's
Right.
what's a really important piece for everyone who's listening as well. Because us people who didn't grow up with like hardcore trauma drama, right? We sometimes forget that and it's not um dysfunctional, so to speak, right? Because your dad was working. Like my dad did the same thing. He traveled on the week, he came home on the weekends. He played with me
Mhm.
when he could, but also had to like do stuff around the house and spend time with my mom. And I got my little piece and then he'd go off, right? And so
Right.
what happens is we learn like we take what we get in terms of attention and love. Not
Right.
because they're a bad dad, right? Because he was totally providing for you, but you get what you get and you don't get upset because he's doing it for the family,
Right.
right? And your mom
Yeah.
was just like, and I'm doing my part, and that's just the way it is. So your experience of relationship and love, and it looks like it's been pretty consistent in the history here, is you get what you get and you don't get upset.
Hmm.
Does that resonate?
Yes, but there has been a tendency, in my marriage where I would get upset and vocalize it, and it would come across, or he would turn it around and say that I was just nagging, or
Mm-hmm.
say I didn't have that, valid reasons for being upset.
Well, totally. And what's interesting is, can I make an observation?
Yes.
Even when I was talking about your dad, you're like, well, he has reasons,
Hmm.
right? So for you, like in the experience of your relationship, it's almost like you were saying, like, this isn't okay. Like, I need what I need. And yet you're still in this relationship now and with your ex, like where they just weren't giving you what you needed and deserved, really.
Correct.
Right. And so here, even when you're describing with the most recent guy, you're like, and I'm like, I can be cool, I can play it cool, we can do it it's like you're not standing in your power and your value. You're being, I call it cool girl syndrome, right?
Hmm.
Where you're like,
Hmm.
it's cool, like I'm here, I'll wait, like I just want you to be happy. I understand it's hard for you and you're not getting what you want.
Right.
And it feels like shit.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So here's sort of what I want to ask you. So if you've got these core values of integrity and honesty, and they are deep because of who you are and what you've had happen to you in your life, right? Like trust is really important for you. And
yes.
So those two pieces are missing. And it kind of looks like you're still reacting to your experiences of your late childhood with this guy. He's totally in alignment, basically, with your old pattern. Does that ring true?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask. So I never tell anyone what to do. So let me ask you, based on those two things, if you were going to break a pattern and stand for what you deserve and what you really want, is it in your best interest to have marriage and have children and dogs and all those things that you want with this guy?
Right now, no.
Okay. So you said right now, because why?
Because he's not available emotionally.
Right.
He's not, he said, I enjoy where we're going. I see a future with you. There's been conversations of us cutting, not cutting off communication, but taking steps back to avoid ruining what we could have in the future. Totally. So right now I have made the decision to say, let's just be friends, not romantic friends, not friends with benefits, just strictly friends. And when you're ready to provide me and meet me on the same page, then maybe we can possibly revisit this in the future, which is what I want. I do want that currently. So, but I also know it's not a guarantee.
Well, right. And what does friends look like?
Friends to me is, checking in once a week, once every other week. Hey, how are you doing? How's life happening? Just still maintaining a friendly communication, but not necessarily going on dates or sleeping over at each other's places and not being romantic.
So if you give him that, right? Like, because here's the thing, like, do you feel like you can really emotionally disconnect when you are talking to him once a week?
I feel like if I have it in my mindset that there is a good outcome from this, then I can. But as soon as he starts to woo me with his words and dote on me and say all the nice things and compliments and all of that, then I do know that would reel me back in.
Well, exactly. And also, he's got a history of consistent lack of communication and lack of honesty. So every time you call him or you hope that he calls you back and he doesn't, what happens is you reinforce that neural pathway of what's wrong with me, of rejection, of abandonment.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
Yeah. So are you willing to, because if you don't make a stand, right, that is what will happen.
Right.
People don't just change, especially when there's nothing in it for him really right now.
Right.
And he's told you.
Yeah.
And so energetically, what happens when somebody gives, I call that the disclaimer, right? Because he said, I told you I can't be here for you. But if you walk into my cave, like, of course I'm going to eat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
okay?
I can see that.
So he's giving you the disclaimer. He's totally not taking responsibility as a result of that. He's rationalizing it, which I'm sure he's had, there's excuses and reasons, right? The bottom line is you're never going to be able to trust anyone if you don't start to trust yourself.
Okay.
So if you are really honest with yourself, what is the right thing for you to do?
To cut off all communication.
Elaborate. Why is that? Why do you know that's true?
Yeah, because you're right. Like, we're not friends on all social media, but there is ways to, look at his social media. And today technology is just so much different than it was, 12 years ago before I got married. So there's Snapchat, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. And Snapchat, I mean, that has become like our primary form of communication. And I don't like that. Like, I'm still very old school. Whereas those first 5 weeks, it was, he would pick up the phone and he would call me if he wanted to talk to me, you know? Then it slowly started dwindling to just text messages. And now it's really just Snapchat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so here's the thing. He is getting like most of the girlfriend privileges without taking boyfriend responsibility. And you're nurturing him and you're buoying him up and you're like, giving him all your heart, right? And you're getting nothing.
I'm not getting my needs and expectations met.
No.
Fully.
No. Right.
And I know I deserve that in my life because I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready to meet somebody who meets me on all of my needs and expectations, who's on the same page, my companion, my person, my partner. And right now he can't give me that. And he has expressed that. And I just haven't listened.
Totally. I call it, your selective mute, right? Like I only hear what I want to hear. So the bottom line also is, and this is the most important, when you were talking about this 2 years where you're working on yourself, that the most important thing that you can heal is starting to trust yourself and trusting your judgment. And that you know what you need to do. Right. Right. And in order for you to ever trust anyone else again, you're going to have to start trusting yourself. And when you are out of integrity and when you're not honest with yourself, which are your core values, you keep falling down into those same patterns. And that is never going to be the way out towards what it is that you want. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I can see that.
Because you got to be in alignment with your own core values. Because when you're not, then you start beating yourselves up. What did I do wrong? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have listened to him. Next time I'm not right. Do you ever have that going on in your head?
Yeah. I mean, I have doubted, conversations that we've had recently, whereas, well, maybe I was premature in having that conversation with him, or maybe I should have worded it differently, or maybe it just wasn't the right time of day, to talk to him about
That's
it.
Bullshit, right? Like, that is bullshit. I don't want that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And look, like I told you, like, I swear to God, like if you took this relationship that you're in and you like set it on top of the one that I had after I just got divorced, it's like your guy is my Johnny Locke, like 100%, right? I don't know if you know my story, but what's amazing is it's so funny. So I was in that relationship. I was 39. I'm now 52. So it's like 13 years ago, right?
Well, you look fantastic.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So what's amazing is, and I will call him the best, worst thing that ever happened to me. And I hope this guy is yours, right? Because it like totally, I pivoted in every area of my life and I really got honest and really healed those core things. But what's amazing is, in speaking to him maybe every few years, and I just spoke to him recently because he went and did this personal development workshop. And he finally, it's so funny. I'm like, you finally sound like an adult. And it took 13 years.
Right.
And he has had a million failed relationships between the time we were together and now. Mm-hmm. And somebody breaking up with him was the one that sort of caused him to kind of go do some more work on himself. But here's the thing, girl. I don't want you to have to wait 13 years.
Well, of course, I don't want to wait. I don't have 13 years to wait.
I know you don't, right? So this is your best, worst thing.
Okay.
But you have to take action. You have to start being in integrity to what you know is right, putting yourself first, and not giving him those girlfriend privileges without really being there for you. Because of 5 out of 11 weeks, that is not the majority. He showed up one way. The way he showed up the rest of the time is who he is right now.
Okay.
And you do not want to wait to see who he turns out to be. And it is not your job. It is not your responsibility. And you have so much to give.
Right.
So you said you came here to figure out, should you wait around for him? What's the answer?
Well, I definitely don't feel like I should wait around for him. No, I shouldn't.
And I think if he reaches out to you, because if you stop connecting, he will start reaching out and do all those things that he does.
Mm-hmm. So at what point, let's say a month from now, 6 months from now, or even a year from now, he reaches out and he says, okay, I've had my time. I'm ready. And you're who I want to pursue. What do I need to do at that moment if I'm unattached, if I'm not in a a relationship.
Well, I hope you're in a relationship. But if
Well, I
you're,
would hope to.
but if
But,
you're
but I'm
not,
not.
but
What
if
would
you're
I need?
not, I think
Yeah.
what I want you to do is really clear. It looks like, I appreciate that you want to connect. I'm in a place where I'm looking for these things, and you let him know what your values are and your relationship goals are, and that it's a right now thing.
Right.
And you're happy to start dating him, and he can earn back trust and integrity and honesty. And you're happy to take it one small step at a time to show you that he's different, because words are nothing.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
And you tell him it's a right now thing, right? Like, I'm in a place where I'm looking for a serious, committed relationship that leads to marriage. This is what I'm looking for in a partner. My experience of you so far was that you did not have those same values. And I have no judgment, because everyone has their own journey.
Right.
So in order for me to find out if that's true for you or not, we would have to start slowly from the beginning.
Okay.
And I would not have sex with him until you are 100% sure he is committed, he is reliable, and he is consistent.
Okay. All right.
And if he reaches out, like, where are you? You have to, like, I swear, this is your mantra. I'm in a place right now in my life where I'm looking for this, this, and this. You're not. I'm not ready to trust you yet.
Okay. And you're saying if he reaches out soon, within the next few weeks. Okay.
Totally. Because he's totally.
So should I just completely ignore him, or do I need to respond?
Well, I think you ignore him, and if he keeps doing it, then you say, hey, listen, there's a reason here. Okay. I don't feel safe, emotionally safe. You're not safe for me.
Right.
And, I would block his ass on all your social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're like his little, like, boo-boo blanket, right? Like, you're safe and comfortable. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, and I'm just smiling over here in the den, because it's like, when a guy like this doesn't have his, like, go-to, then he has to actually deal with the fact that he's getting a freaking divorce.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, right? To go from, oh, this is my thing to this is my thing. But going through divorce is like, a thing. So I don't want you to be his little comfort, his little pacifier. Because so when he goes through that divorce and you cut him off, he's going to either grow up or not. So the best thing you can do for him is to have him sit in it just like you did when you had your aha and had those years of, like, getting your act together. Because that's kind of what he needs. And he's never going to, it's like a little toddler. He's never going to do it if there's not a consequence.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So what's been your biggest sort of takeaway, or what are you walking away with from this conversation?
The biggest thing that I've taken away is like you said, I need to trust myself, and I need to become in alignment with my core values and what I am looking for in someone else, and not be the cool girl that is okay with, not having my needs met and making sure someone else is having their needs met. I need to stand true to who I am and what I want and my morals and beliefs, and what I'm looking for in somebody. And in order for me to do that, I have to trust my instincts and trust my gut, and not I feel like people should live in the moment, but not necessarily get wrapped up in the feel goods momentarily that is not even as big as the negative feelings. Because in this situation, there's been a lot more negative, harmful feelings that I have felt versus the good, especially in the last 6 weeks.
Absolutely. And that's, like, forget the first 5 weeks. That was like, that was.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've held on to, is that I want those 5 weeks back so much, because they were absolutely amazing, like too good to be true. Like, oh my gosh, I think I'm finally getting what I want, but I think I've held on to that, and the idea that could change, that could, happen again overnight. And I've just held on, and it's not. And so I'm facing the hard truth of, needing to let it go.
Yeah. It's time to kind of grieve that. And then I think your homework is, right? So what he's got to do. And I think your homework really is to practice having those boundaries. And then your next level of work on you is changing the core beliefs and core patterns, and really heal those things, so that your experience of love is healthy love, so that when it does come in, you don't push it away.
Okay.
Makes
I see
sense?
that. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Awesome. Well, I'm super, super glad you came in the den. I can hear like all the ladies listening, like, oh my God, because I talk to people and they're like, that episode was so and so, like, that was me. So I really appreciate you coming in here and being so transparent and so vulnerable. And you keep in touch and let us know what happens. And you stay strong to what you want and who you really are.
Thank you, Marni. I really appreciate it.
All right, Nicole. We'll talk to you soon, ladies. And don't forget, date with some damn dignity. We'll talk to you next time. Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.